Oh, good.
We're going chasing.
Hello there, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Hello, now, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Now, we have a lot on the agenda, lads, so we'll cut the chase and get straight down to the business.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the We're Going Chasing Cheltenham Countdown. I'm joined this evening by Darran Pearce. Darran, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Looking forward to the Hunter Chase at Cheltenham. Obviously, Cheltenham as a whole, it should be a cracking meeting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to myself. And you're somewhat of a Hunter Chase expert, I suppose. Myself and James wouldn't be too clued into this race ourselves. Just, I suppose, we'd have seen the few races that happen on the track in Ireland, but in terms of, I suppose, the English form and the point-to-points, we wouldn't be too clued in. So we said we'd bring in you to see what you think. So looking at the betting, we've got Ferns lock 5-2. It's on the line. It's about 3-1. Billaway 7-1. Premier Magic last year's winners 8s. Sam Crow's there at 12s. You got Vossele at 14s and bigger the rest. So Darran, Ferns lock, are you for or against him?
I've got to be against him. I think he's probably the best horse in the race. He looks full of class. And, you know, I said last season there were 3 horses that really impressed me in this fair. Famous Claremont, a horse called Fair Jaggerin, and Ferns Lock over in Ireland. And, of course, he got beat at Fairyhouse over Easter when he didn't look like he stayed in the soft ground over 3 Mile 1. And then the one performance that is really confirmed for me that I don't think he's going to see it out was on Boxing Day, or St Stephen's Day, as you say, in Ireland, at Dan Royal, when it's on. He looked like he was going to win, and it's on the line as Common collared him on the line, and he's a superb jumper, but he's a very free running sort. I wouldn't say he's really, really keen, but he's free running, and he's unlikely to get an easy lead. Although we're looking at a smaller than unusual field, I can imagine that there might be 2 or 3 wanting to be up there, and it's usually a race that's run at quite a quick gallop. And I just can't see him getting up the hill, especially if the ground is on the softer side. I thought it was really interesting that Ruby Walsh on Racing TV, after he won at Thurles, when he beat Romeo Magico by 8 lengths, said the same as me. He said he looks an Aintree horse. David Christie has sort of said that he thinks Aintree might suit him better than Cheltenham, but they may as well go for it. And I can see why they're going for it. But personally, I would rather be backing him for Aintree than Cheltenham.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think that the consensus around him is that he probably, like, I was in Fairyhouse the day he got beaten by Animix, and like he just didn't stay that day. Like, and he is free enough. And I think if he did settle, he'd have a nice chance. And if Barry can hold on to something for after the back of the last, you know, he might get home, but it'll be like Wind Leader and Billaway. I'd say he'll be running on empty coming up the run-in, and if he gets there, all the better. But it's on the line then with second favourite. You're pro it's on the line, so judging by that.
Yeah, he's the only horse I've backed in the race at the moment. I think he should be favourite. Obviously, he beat Ferns Lock, as we mentioned, at Dan Royal. Now, his jockey that day was claiming 7, but he's going to have Derek O'Connor on here. He's going to have cheek pieces going back on, which he wasn't wearing at Naas last time, obviously, when Billaway nearly caught him. Now, there is a theory that he had a hard race that day, and obviously the ground was bottomless. But he was clearly keeping something for himself. As soon as I backed him, and I thought, oh, Billaway's going to come and get him. I've done me money here. And then, of course, he picked up. As soon as Billaway got to him, he picked up. And that is very unusual. You don't really see that. If a horse is that fast finishing and the horse in front is you know, going through the motions, you don't usually see him pick up, especially in ground like that. But as soon as he came to him, I just liked the way that he kept finding. And clearly, he's got his quirks. You know, he's been over here before. I remember backing him at Stratford for the John Corbett Cup, and he ran an absolute stinker. But he was staying on best in the race last year. Possibly a little bit fortunate because of the loose horse to finish second. Maybe he should have finished third. But he's a year older now. We know he stays. He's a thorough stayer. If the ground is, you know, on the softer side, that's going to help him as well. And I just don't see how he isn't going to go really, really close to winning this. He's one of the best horses in the race. Like I said, and crucially, he could be the best stayer in the race. And so I think he is my strongest bet, or going to be my strongest bet in the race.
Fair enough. And I think it's interesting, like they're both they're both 7-year-olds, and like these horses could be around for the next 5 years
Yeah.
at the top of the Hunter Chase and sort of standings. I know Premier Magic is coming back. He's last year's winner. What do you reckon on him?
Well, he's obviously got a chance. I mean, he's running 2 points this year, and they were nothing races. I mean, the third, when he won at Sheriff Hutton, the third came out and ran at Leicester in a maiden Hunter Chase and got stuffed. And Torwygraph is an ex Gordon Elliott horse, and he's no great shakes either. And then he went and won at 1-10 earlier in February. So we know he's got 4 legs, and we know he's fit and healthy. Has he possibly regressed from last year? I don't know. Is he at the same level? I don't really know. I think it's quite hard to say. Obviously, Bradley Gibbs has come out and said that he is. But he has to have another solid chance. I half fancied him for the race 2 years ago, and he ran an absolute stinker, which put me off him last year but I knew he was talented. But because he'd run so badly, obviously horses tend to run well at Cheltenham year on year out. But Brad said that he had him on the inside 2 years ago, so he took him on the outside last year, and he loved it. So I can imagine he's going to be on the outside this year. Smaller field, it will help as well. And to be honest, he probably is slightly overpriced, because I think he could be a popular one with people seeing that he won the race last year. But God's honest truth, on what he has done so far this season, it is hard to know at what level he is currently capable of running to.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And look, it is a very competitive race. I know I was at a Cheltenham preview night on Tuesday in Limerick, and Jay Mangum was on the panel, and they came to the Hunter's Chase, and Deneen sort of offered nothing there. Ted Walsh gave nothing away. They weren't too interested in it. But Jane said she'd been talking to an English fella that's a very good judge. She actually gave her the winner of the race in Porlock Bay at 66 a few years ago. And he'd said Sin Nomin. So am I saying that?
Sine Nomine, I think,
Yeah.
is
She gave that one out. She didn't elaborate, but just said that he's a very good judge, and that's the one he's landing on.
Yeah, I think I've sometimes been guilty of underestimating her and writing her off because you can pick holes in her form. She won the John Corbett Cup last year, and it wasn't a great race. Brave Starlight, the second, has done absolutely nothing in handicaps since. The time before, when she won at Stratford, the ground was in her favour, and it didn't really suit any of the other runners. So even though she was impressive, I thought, well, is she the only one to run a race? She then got beaten first time up at Alnwick in a point this season behind Wagner, who's actually done really well in points this season, but he's an average horse. He wouldn't have a chance in a race like this. But then she came out at Wetherby, and she's hammered Benny's King by 15 lengths. Now, Benny's King won at Leicester yesterday, at the time of recording, it was yesterday, and he absolutely obliterated the field. Prior to that, he'd run really well at Taunton in a race that's working out very well. Now, Benny's King isn't the strongest stayer. That race was run over 3 miles 1 because there was added distances because of the way they had the bend. So it wasn't 3 miles, it was 3 miles 1. And so I was like, well, he didn't really stay. The favourite disappointed in the race. I absolutely hated the going. So again, you could argue that she was the only one who was capable of running a race in the conditions. However, I think I need to be careful with her, because I think she actually probably is just pretty talented, despite the fact that she may be the only one running a race, because she's absolutely cruised through the race at Wetherby. She's jumped really well. And I know Connections are pretty hopeful that she's capable of running a big race. The one condition I have, or 2 conditions: one, I think the softer the ground, the better her chance. And 2, she has run at Cheltenham twice. The first time she jumped horrendously, but she is a better jumper now, to be fair. That was her first run under rules. Last year at Cheltenham Hunter Chase night, she got beaten by a horse called Miss Seagreen, who solid pointer, but again, nothing special. And so there is that query: is she not quite as good round Cheltenham? Now, I think that was a bit of a funny race last year, and I think it was a bit of a freak result. So I would be prepared to give her another chance at Cheltenham. And certainly at the bigger prices, she is the one who makes most appeal. And as I say, the softer the ground, the more appeal she would have.
Great, that's great, Darren. So just wrapping up then, you're firmly in the it's on the line camp. You think you should be favourite, and that's the one you're siding with. I think if I was to a gun to my head on the day, I'd say I might, especially if it was soft ground, I might go with a Jane's pick there. A
Cine nominee. Yes.
nominee. You're
Yeah.
wrong again. But look, Darren, it was great having you on, and like it's really refreshing to see a race like this get, like, you're obviously so interested in it, and like look, it wouldn't be one for myself, but look, it's nice to hear that. We'll say that it's something you're interested in. Hopefully, you land on the winner, and that's the main thing, I think.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, I can help people. You know, you obviously find me on Twitter, and I'll write a full preview up close to the day as well if people want to read my sort of bang up to date thoughts on it. And because it's one of the most punted races on at the festival, and yet it gets very little attention. I mean, I know part of that is because it's the race after the Gold Cup, but even so, it gets very little attention. So it's nice to at least try and inform people. Hopefully, I can point them in the way of the winner, but at least I can provide them with the stats and the facts and my thoughts.
No, definitely, and I'll put your Twitter handle up on screen here, so anyone can find you there, and you have the sort of the forum for throughout the year on the Hunters Chase, and then you'll have a more of a write up during the day, so people can get that there. Right, Darren, that's great. Thanks a lot, and we'll be back again tomorrow with the Mayor's Chase and the cross country, I think. Thank you.
It's Honeysuckle and Rachel Black.